All right. Says we're live. How's everybody doing tonight? Uh, been a busy day. Got a lot going on. So it seems like I'm a little scatterbrained tonight. It's because I am. Just got an unexpected phone call, business call, during my normal prep time. So I didn't get as much time to prep as normal. So I'm going to have to go a little bit off the cuff. It's going to be a fun one tonight. We'll be try and be entertaining and educational and all that crap at the same time. And uh, have fun. I'm rather upbeat. It was a good call. Things went well. Excited about that. So, anyhow, tonight's subject is how to spot red flags in other men and warning signs. So, this pertains to a lot of things in life, making friends, uh, even choosing kind of how much time you spend with your family and stuff like that. Because if your family is the wrong kind of people, then you might want to limit your exposure to them. Um, you know, all of that, friends, business as well. Um, the ability to spot warning signs and stuff in business in either potential clients, potential suppliers, partners, anybody you want to do business with. These things can really they can really benefit you, and the inability to do it well can really hurt you. Business, career, life, all of that, all of it in general. So it's a very important skill to have and develop as a man. Um, spotting red flags in the others, it can protect yourselves from others for potential harm. Um, if you know somebody has a pattern of manipulative or controlling behavior, we learn to take steps to distance ourselves and limit that. We'll try and maybe talk about that a little bit tonight as well. I'm going to drop the join link kind of early because, like I said, my prep time was condensed and scattered. So I'm slightly distracted because I normally take the last hour and a half or so, 2 hours before the show, go over all my notes and get everything really fresh in my mind. And I had a good day. And it goes to exactly today's topic. Ironically, fits right in with it. So I kind of developed this ability to sort of see the bullshit in people a long time ago. I got scammed a bunch several times when I was really young, and when I started business, and I very quickly learned how to pick up on those mistakes or pick up on those cues. Um, so do me a favor, drop some comments and stuff in here because that helps the YouTube algorithms, and smash the like button. It doesn't cost anything to do that. It helps me grow, which I'm not doing a whole lot of growing. My channel is kind of concentrated to a specific type, and it's not exactly a huge market. So do me a favor and help me out as much as we can. I appreciate that. But if you can't spot warning signs, and they're just little things. Sometimes they're just very tiny little things. If you can't spot these, you'll end up spending time with the wrong people. And the old common saying is, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so if you're spending time with bad people and you don't know how to recognize that, then you're going to become that, and you're going to waste your time and hinder your growth as a person, and hinder your growth in your career and business and just everything in life. So it's pretty important to be able to know that. And then the other part of being able to protect yourselves is yourself. When you can recognize this in other people, it gives you the opportunity to either navigate your relationships, whether that be work, business, whatever, with them better if you have to. Sometimes you'll recognize crappy behaviors and stuff in the people you work for, in your boss. If you're a young guy and you're not at a point in life where you can step out on your own and do your own thing, the inability to get away from these situations and not being aware of them is going to hurt you. But being aware of them, you can kind of figure out how to navigate them, to do things that will benefit you and limit the damage that these people around you can do, whether they be your boss or coworker or even somebody below you. Imagine being doing your best, working hard, and getting promoted to a management position. and not being able to recognize warning signs of somebody who is probably going to be manipulative, looking to advance themselves at the expense of others and not care, that ends up being underneath of you, and you don't know how to recognize it. And one of these people kind of plots something along and then uses it to burn you. So the ability to recognize this for not only the people above you, but people below you on the whole job, social hierarchy, all of that stuff can affect you positively and negatively. So definitely good things to know. And you can also, when you have these skills and you know it, you can use this to help and protect others, your friends, your family, your children, the people in your life. You can, when you see it, you know it, and you recognize these warning signs. You can stand up and say it, speak out against them, and point it out. And because you've learned how to recognize it, you can show it to other people, and that will help you, will protect the people that you care about, that you love, that you work with, whatever the case may be. And you'll get a lot of respect for that. Not with the person that you're pointing it out at. They won't like it very much, but the other people around you really will. They'll appreciate that a lot. That'll build your stature and status in your community of men and family and all kinds of relationships, everything in passing, business. This will help you also to take on leadership roles and use your influence to promote positive change. You can add, when you recognize the bad things, you can advocate for policies and changes and practices to change them, to fix, to correct wrongs, like to be able to right wrongs. The respect that will gain you as well will elevate your status and who you are in life. And as men, that's what we all want to do. We want to become the best version of ourselves we possibly can. We all want respect. Amongst men, respect is earned. It's not given, it's not demanded, and it's not granted. You have to earn it. So if you don't have the situational awareness about you to spot the default behaviors in others, you're not going to be well respected, because other people are going to notice that you're getting taken advantage of, or that you can't see this stuff and you're not very aware. So that's a phrase we're going to bring up a bunch, is situational awareness, because it is situational awareness helps you recognize everything around you in life. Not just people, environments, situations. As we've talked about before many times, I enjoy hiking and camping in the mountains. If you're not situationally aware there, you can walk yourself into some very, very bad situations. If you're not paying attention to what's going on around you, and you walk yourself into a mountain lion up in a tree or something right beside the path, and you're just not paying attention, it might not end well for you. I kind of personally get a kick out of it when I watch people walk themselves into a situation with a bear, because that's always everybody's biggest fear. If you spend any time hiking in the mountains, you'll notice everybody's wandering around with their cans of bear spray. I rarely carry it. I have it usually stuffed down in the bottom of my backpack, because I grew up in the bush, so I'm very aware of what's going on around me, and I see it a lot of times before other people do. And it's kind of funny when you watch people walk into it. It's like, you might want to stop. Why? And they keep right on going, because there's a bear right there. They don't even see it. This helps you in crowds of people as well. There's just this whole situational awareness in crowds, just the way people are acting and reacting, even if you're not in that particular group of something going on over there from a distance. If you have that situational awareness, you have the ability to spot the warning signs, you can see who the trouble in a group on the other side of the room is without even interacting. This is a very valuable skill to have. And it'll feel like, a feeling in your gut or an intuition or something like that. Trust that. It's something I've heard. It's a little bit of an out there theory, but it actually kind of makes sense. Is our eyes are actually part of our brains. They're not a separate organ. They're actually part of the brain. It's the optical It's the visual part of our brain. And so they have the ability to perceive things and see things that certain parts of your mind can't access, but the default behaviors of you can. You ever get those situations where the hair stands up on the back of your neck? Well, why? Visually and in the conscious part of your brain, you didn't see anything wrong, but yet the hair stood up on the back of your neck. Well, that's your brain's connection to your eyes seeing things that your conscious part of your mind can't. And it's telling you that, hey, we need to watch out for this. These are exactly the things that I'm talking about. Being able to fine tune and pay attention to these details are going to give you a very, very big leg up in life. Help you navigate potentially hazardous situations, come out on top of them, be able to control them, and also be able to recognize good situations so you know to work towards them. It's not just good, it's also bad, or not just bad, it's also good. When you can see that, you'll recognize that, that's a guy of influence and upstanding character, and I can tell it. And because of that, this is somebody that I want to be around and I want to associate with, because people that are of good character and that are honest and all good things about them, good things happen around them, and being in the sphere of those people is going to help you. This becomes you become the average of what you're being around. So if you're around somebody who is very aware of what's going on, sees things, helps orchestrate and control things, does good in business, is honest, respectable, and those sorts of things, when you're around that, you will naturally absorb that. You'll become that yourself. And just being in the presence of that, you'll notice it. Just like the hair standing up on the back of your neck, it'll be the exact same thing. It'll be that, that sense of draw, that, I want to be associated with this person. There's something there. And you'll develop a dynamic with that. It'll help in everything in life. That stuff goes a long way. That's actually a big part of what happened with me today with my phone call. I met this fellow about 9 years ago. He approached me to talk to me, and I instantly realized that this guy was different than most. And there was just something about him. Was the way he approached me, was the way he introduced himself, the way he shook my hand, and the genuine desire to learn something from me. I knew right away that this was not negative. This was all a positive interaction. And, I stopped what I was doing, paid attention to the guy, and had a good conversation, and ended up consulting with him on something, steering him in a direction. He was looking at buying some equipment that I was familiar with and that I was operating at the time. And I steered him in a direction. He was going to go one way, and based on his operation and the way he did things, and my experience and knowledge, is like, you don't really want to do that. And these are the reasons why. I know it's the most obvious and most simple path, but these are the shortcomings that in your particular application are going to come back and bite you in the ass. You don't want to do that. You want to go this direction. It's a little bit more money. It's a little harder to find, but these are the reasons why. He took all of that and information, really appreciated it. When it come time to actually buy some equipment, he hired me as a consultant to go in and look at it. Is this what you were talking about? Does this meet all of the things that you were telling me about? And I went and looked at it and said, yeah, it does. And so he ended up buying that. And in our conversation today, he brought that up. I haven't talked to him in probably 5 years, 6 years, something like that. In our conversation today, right away, as he brought that up, because I called him with something else that I've got coming up that I'm aware of. And the first thing he said is, I need to thank you for doing that for me. He says, for, directing me in that direction. He said, because exactly what you said, that exact scenario happened to somebody else doing something with the type of equipment that I was going to buy, and you advised me not to. So I bought this one, and we were both doing the job at the same time. And exactly what you said was going to go wrong went wrong for them, and everything went smoothly for us. He says, you saved me thousands and thousands of dollars. It's like, I haven't even had a chance to thank you since then. He says, so, which was a great interaction then. And like I said, I knew right away, as I could tell that everything was positive with this guy. So I talked to him about this opportunity that I have, and said, like, a little bit of this is above my head, but there's definitely a lot of potential here. And he looked at it and liked it a lot. He's very busy at this time of the year, and took the time to talk to me about it. And he says, I've got to actually meet with some people that are going to need this service and this product this week. And he said, so I'm going to get back to you towards the end of the week. And he says that this looks like something we can probably, do business on. So just opportunities like that, being able to recognize that years later is paying me dividends. Like I said, I met this guy like 8 years ago, and the potential for ongoing business and stuff now here 8 years later of a pretty big deal could come to fruition simply because I had the ability to discover right away that this guy was on the up and up, and this was a positive interaction, not somebody to avoid. And when you don't know that stuff, you can walk into a bad situation, or if you don't know, you just don't know, so you don't pay attention, and you'll end up walking away from a good situation. Imagine if I didn't have the ability to understand and see these things and pick up on and sense these warning signs, and I'd have walked away from that guy at that point in time back then. This whole thing that's going on today, I'd have had nobody to reach out to. I would have been like, hey, that's a cool deal, but I know nothing about it, and there's nothing I can do to help. But because of everything that I did, it was like, hey, I can solve these guys' problems, and I can solve these guys' problems, and I can bring the two of them together, and we can make a great thing happen. And it comes down to the ability to see this, to be able to cut through the bullshit. And everybody has it. I do too. So don't get me wrong. I am not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes, which is why I started this channel, to help spread some of my mistakes so you don't have to make them, because it's a whole lot easier path if you don't have to. We'll kind of get back to some of the points in the notes here. I rambled off. And the other thing, being able to spot red flags, we talk about it all the time. As men, we know about it. Being able to spot warning signs, not just in other men, but you'll spot them in women as well. But the one thing that you'll notice, especially as you get a little older when it comes to business, is you'll spot guys that, one-on-one with another man, you guys will have a great interaction, great conversation. Business will be going well. You got deals you think you're going to go. And then you'll watch him interact with his spouse. And you'll realize that on that side of things, they're a little bit different. And so you'll realize you need to be careful getting into business with somebody that could possibly have some negative influence, or be influenced to the point where he's not making decisions, or he's not making sound logical decisions. He's making emotional decisions because he's being controlled that way by somebody else. The ability to see that in other people can save you some hassle, save you some problems. Run through some of this stuff. Like I say, sorry on my prep work, a little bit scatterbrained. But this can be especially, important for other people that are vulnerable, right? If you're not paying attention to the stuff that's around, you can, like, men that will take advantage of people who are vulnerable are guys you certainly don't want to do business with. There's a difference between taking a business opportunity, but then there is a completely separate taking advantage of vulnerable. And that, to me, has always personally been a warning sign. Somebody that looks for vulnerable people and vulnerabilities to exploit is somebody I don't want to do business with, because that particular part I want no involvement with. Being able to spot a vulnerable problem that I can provide a valuable solution for, that is ethical, I have no problem with that. I have no problem making a profit from that. We should. But doing it in the negative light is something that I personally watch out for and stay away from. And I think you should too, because at the end of the day, are you going to be able to sleep at night with your decision? You're going to be okay with it, because you have to be able to be. All this stuff comes down to as well, like I always kind of go on about, when you can spot this stuff, it gives you the ability to take on leadership roles and use your influence for good. Um, and being able to influence others to be better uh, is a very, very powerful thing. Something I've really grown and noticed and learned from starting this channel and starting my community. Which, by the way, I should plug that, I guess. So join my channel membership there and become a member of my community. We talk about stuff after hours and on a Zoom call that we can't talk about here on YouTube because we get censored and there's things we can't say. There's subjects we can't cover. There's more detailed business we talk about on there, which we had a very good call this weekend about business and batted around some really good ideas. So we've got some guys who are gonna start pursuing some things and leveling up and achieving goals in life. So things are happening very, very good there. And the guys that are in there are very good at spotting bullshit. And, you know, so that becomes a thing is when you're looking for those warning signs. If you meet somebody and you become friends with somebody and they never ever call you out on your bullshit, they're probably not that great of a friend. And that in itself should be a warning sign. Personally, I expect my friends to call me out when I make a mistake. I expect my friends to point it out because I'm human. I make mistakes every single day and I have blind spots. And that is why I surround myself with smart, intelligent people and good, honest men. Because when I fuck up, I want somebody to point it out so that I don't do it again or so I can fix it. And I do the same thing with my friends. You know, like a friend is not somebody who agrees with you 100% of the time. If they agree with you 100% of the time, they're probably holding something back because no two people ever agree on anything 100% of the time. And having things that you don't agree on, you just decide you're not going to talk about that particular thing because you don't agree on it. That right there sets the tone of that is somebody you can actually trust. Somebody who is willing to tell you they don't like what you're doing and call you out on your bullshit is someone you can trust. And if somebody will not let you call you out on their bullshit, it's somebody you shouldn't trust. Think about that. If somebody is too good that no matter what, all the time, and will not take it if you call them out on their shit, they're not honest with themselves. If they're not honest with themselves, they sure as hell ain't honest with you. Think about that. That's a powerful thing right there. That's a powerful warning sign in itself. Being able to be called out and, you know, have your mistakes pointed out and accepting them. That's a very, very powerful part and a big thing of becoming a man and a respectable guy that other people want to be with, be around, emulate, and will want to do business with, want to be friends with, and literally, I don't care who you are. You come join my community. You have the same right as anybody else. If I'm making a mistake and you see it, I expect you. I don't want you. I expect you to call me out. That's what I expect of my friends. I expect my friends to point out my blind spots. And that is the true sign of a good friend and a good person. And somebody who doesn't, that should be the biggest warning sign of all, in my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Opinions are like assholes. We all have them. Some smell good, some don't. So, you take it from there and you set your own. It's different for everybody. You set your own. But those are things for me that mean a lot or don't. One of the two. Some definitions of the red flags for other guys. Well, we've kind of gone through some of those already. And this is one for me personally that matters to me. A warning sign for me with men, a red flag with other men is disrespect towards women. We are different. Women see the world differently than we do. You can call this the red pill space, whatever you want. I prefer not to call it that. I like to think I'm a step beyond the red pill. Red pill's the idea of being able to see the code in the matrix. I'm past the point. I don't just see the code. I read it and I write it. I create my own matrix. The world is what I make it out to be because I know how to do that. And I know what I can change and what I can't change, and I accept the things that I can't change and don't care about them. Let it go. It doesn't matter to me. And I change the things that I can, and I influence the things that I can, and we'll go from there. But some of them maybe not necessarily need a ton of respect, but in general, somebody disrespects all of them. Because they aren't all the same. Now, a large percentage. We don't need to get into all of this stuff, but there are differences, and there is with everything. There is with men as well. There's certainly a group of men to avoid, definitely, as we were talking about. But the ability to recognize that the way, just generally, I guess it's not even just women, children, life, the way that a guy treats people around him, all the way around him in his sphere, no matter what. If it's people who work for him. A big one is, you hear people talk about all the time, is somebody who doesn't respect like wait staff in a restaurant or something like that. Somebody that doesn't respect or show a certain level of respect or consideration towards other people. In my mind, to me, there's something in the background that is wrong. There's a disconnect there. At the end of the day, we're all people. A lot of times we are the sum of the choices we've made to get to the place where we are in life today. But with that comes luck. Occasionally, something crosses your path and you run into it, and you couldn't have seen it coming, and you couldn't have avoided it. And it'll knock you down a peg or two. Been there. Knocked way the fuck down. So, not always where a person currently is exactly what that person is or will be. I know people who've been knocked way down and came way back beyond. And so, seeing someone in their current state, you can't judge that is exactly who that person is. Sometimes there are external factors that you don't know about. And this is the ability to be able to see through that and understand that, this guy's actually got a lot going on. He's smart. He sees the world. He understands what's going on around him. He just happens to be in a bad situation. He's still going to go somewhere. It's a guy I want to be around. That's a person I want to associate with, because, it's real simple. If you see a guy like that has the ability to do better, and you have the ability to help that man, it's like everything, a rising tide raises all ships. So seeing a guy that has his shit together, but has ran into a problem or something like that, has the ability to be great, you help him, believe me, it's going to help you. All of this stuff has been, fantastic for me. Being able to help people, grabbing my community together, helping. I got a lot of young guys in there. Seeing these guys learn the things that at 25 that took me till I was 45 to figure out, like the advantage they've got in life. Bravo, guys. Well done for seeing an opportunity and taking it. Having the ability to see that crap at a young age and see an opportunity that I want to take this one and I want to grow. And allowing somebody like me to meet you and recognize that in you and help you. Thank you. Because it's helped me grow at the same time. These are all parts of when you find people like this. Generally speaking, they congregate in communities. Men that have the ability to see through the shit and recognize it and do things well and help each other grow, help each other become better. These guys have a tendency to stick together. So when you get to the point where you can realize what the BS is and what the good is, and you migrate over towards the good, odds are pretty good you're not going to find one. You might meet one, but you meet a guy like that and you learn from him, he's probably going to bring you into somewhere else where there are more people the same, and you're going to get absorbed into that, and you're going to learn as well. Part of your job when you get to become one of those people is watching for the former you and bringing them along, because it's a shitty old world, and sometimes you have to get a hand up, and it's all right to do that. So, Yeah. A big way of spotting the red flags is, paying attention to a person's behavior patterns and trends. Sometimes you can spot it right away. Sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes people's true colors don't come out for, uh, for a little while. No, I said I was going to drop the join link and I forgot to do it. Oh, let's get that in here. Send that off in the comments. So, yeah. So and continuously watch somebody's behaviors, because people can put on a false front for a while, but their true colors will eventually come out. So you can't, if the spidey senses go off in the beginning, but you think they're a good person and you're around them anyways, you really got to pay attention. Or let's put it the other way. Your spider senses go off in the beginning. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up, tell you that there's something not quite right here. But the person is charismatic. The guy's charismatic. Everything seems good. People follow him. Make sure you pay attention to that, because people can hide that sort of stuff for a while, but eventually the true colors come out, and that the ability to see through that crap and get there, then you'll help yourself there a lot in the future. Kind of lost my point on my thoughts on that. Oh, what else have we got? Oh yeah. Like I said, a lot of times it's going to come down to a gut feeling, an instinct, and pay attention to these things. I quite frankly don't give a shit about the last 100 years. People say, look at behavior and whatnot, the way things are, the way people are. I'll take the last 100,000 years of evolution every single day of the week. You can have the last 100 years, because we have this ability in us, and that falls into those gut feelings, the spidey senses. Pay attention to these things, because that 100,000 years of evolution, that stuff isn't going on at the forefront of your brain, where you're actually, I think this and that's how the world works. No, that stuff comes down from your base brain, the things that you don't know about. When you spend a lot of time outdoors and in the wild like I do, you realize that there is a very, very different level to our brains and how they work. That awareness is actually hardwired and built into us. The ability to connect with it is not. And that's largely what I'm talking about tonight, is the best way to spot the shit and all of that stuff in other people is learning how to connect your conscious thought to those subconscious things that are back in your lizard brain, because those things are much, much deeper and they don't communicate very well all the time. Being able to build those neural networks and those connections and learning how to trust them, learning how to see that, is a very, very valuable skill. And it's time, it's practice. Sometimes you won't see it in the beginning. Maybe you won't see it, and you'll end up in a situation where you get burned or you get screwed. And you didn't see it at first. We all make mistakes. That's fine, as long as you learn from your mistake. So afterwards, when you realize you got burned, you got screwed, sit back and think to yourself, was there something along the way that I saw that I missed, or that I overlooked, or I didn't put enough weight on? This is how you'll build those neural connections, where it'll be like, oh, now that I think about it, right, there was this over here. And becoming aware of that will help build that connection. And the next time that happens, it'll fire. And you won't even realize it. It'll just happen. And then be like, oh, wait a second. This happened last time. It led to that. That wasn't very good. So let's not repeat that. This is how you learn these things, how you build these neural connections. A big thing is, which is I think is probably rather obvious, is toxic behavior. Avoid toxic behavior. Generally speaking, when we're young, we hang out with our friends from school. Usually there's a lot of partying, drinking, drugs, whatever the case may be. Excuse me. And life is fun when we're young. But we need to grow up. You got to learn to leave that stuff behind. And sometimes, you might be part of a group of friends, half a dozen, something like that. And you'll splinter off and you'll start to see that this is not the right way to do things. And I want to improve my life. I want to, clean up and uh, accomplish something. And your friends won't. And they'll continue to do that. They'll try and pull you back in and want you to continue to do this stuff. And maybe later on in life, might be into your 30s, when these guys might end up getting married. And it's like, hey, buddy, haven't seen you in 10 years. And, we're having a bachelor party and come on out and hang out with us. If they haven't grown up and they're still doing those things and they don't respect the fact that you don't want to anymore, it depends on the person you are. Are you the kind of person who can go to an event like that and resist it? Or you have a bad feeling that if you go back to that, you're going to do something you don't want to do. If you don't think that you have the ability to just resist it, then you probably shouldn't attend. Because the power of that persuasion of that much around, it's a toxic behavior, and that toxic behavior is contagious. It will get into you in ways you don't even know. So you want to avoid that, no matter what it is. That comes down to everything. People who have lots of conflict and drama in their lives, these toxic behaviors, you need to stay away from that because it's contagious. You'll soak it up and it'll start to take over parts of you. As I've talked about before in the past, talked about on the last episode, dealing with depression and getting off of SSRIs and that sort of stuff. Is doing that helped me learn the things in my life that I can control and the things in my life that I cannot control. And I don't put myself in situations where I'm going to be around something that I know I can't control, because I'm not going to go back there. I'm not going to allow that to happen. And that means that there are certain people in my life who are no longer in my life because of that, because those things happen. And I'm not going back there. And I know that for me, inside, in the back, and the friendship and all that sort of stuff, that it's a weakness. So I don't do it. I'll meet them away from that where there's no temptation. If they will, if they won't, they're out. And no apologies. Absolutely none. Because my life is my life. And I want to achieve and accomplish something. And I'm not going to allow somebody else to take me down with them. It's just not going to happen. And you shouldn't either. You make these decisions. At the end of the day, the decisions you make are the ones for you, for your life. Nobody else should influence those. You get to make those. That's the great part about living in a free country and being an adult. You get to make these decisions. So, but the flip side of that is you need to be accountable for these decisions. So make sure you make the right ones. Sometimes addressing these red flags can involve seeking out support of others. Sometimes these things are difficult and they're hard for you, and you need people to help you. And that's where recognizing the bad and recognizing the good and making those good contacts. And the one thing about being able to recognize this stuff and making good contacts when you're having a hard time is knowing that these good people are the ones you can reach out to. And that's a big part of it, is when you know the right people and you have to, you seek the support, seek the support from them, ask them to hold you accountable. Like I said, I expect my friends to hold me accountable. I will do the same for my friends. So, when they're having a hard time and things aren't going their way and they need it, I will tell them the things that they need to hear, even if they don't want to hear them. And sometimes they're difficult. But as a friend, that's what you do. I'd rather hurt them a little bit than see them smack into a wall and hurt themselves hard. Because at the end of the day, it's easier coming from me than it is smashing into that wall. May not seem like it at the time, but it is. Which is why I expect people to hold me accountable that way. So supporting and being accountable on it. Yes. Oh, what else have I got? So, yeah, the important of being able to recognize this stuff and these warning signs allows you to take the action of creating a safe environment for you and your family and your loved ones, the people around you. When you don't recognize this stuff, think about this. You don't recognize this stuff. You invite the wrong people into your life, and you have grown, become a man, and you've got a family. You invite the wrong person into your life and around your family. Are you willing to live with that mistake? That could be a very bad one. So, being able to recognize these warning signs, these bad behaviors, you need these in order to keep yourself safe and your family and your loved ones safe and your friends and your community of friends and stuff like that. That's a very important thing. If you're looking for a resource on this, the one I cannot possibly recommend highly enough is a book by Chase Hughes called The 6-Minute X-Ray. You want to be able to figure somebody out right damn quickly. Read that book more than once, because you aren't going to pick everything up the first time through. Trust me. I'm still reading it again, and I still haven't picked it all up. There is a lot to digest in there, and it helps you break down behavior patterns and personalities, and you can recognize things. And the other part to that, when you can recognize these things, is you at this point, when you recognize these characteristics, these behaviors in people, you know how to communicate with them in a way that they're going to understand. And then when they're talking to you, because you recognize and understand these things and how these people operate and the way they operate, you know what they're really saying. Because a lot of times what the words that are coming out of their mouth are not the actual things they're trying to say. And being able to distinguish this stuff is going to help you figure that stuff out, which will help you see through the bullshit a whole lot faster. So, running down on, I think I'm pretty much running low on the notes here. Yeah, that about runs it through. So, yeah, so basically, in conclusion, being able to spot the red flags and warning signs in other men is crucial for creating safety for yourself, safety for your business, safety for your career, safety for your family, and everybody around you. So it's, if you want to make your life easier, learn how to figure these things out, because not figuring them out is just going to amplify the problems that you already have in your life. So anyhow, that's pretty much what I've got for my stuff tonight. Yeah. So the being able to spot these and create that safe place allows you to prevent the harm and allows you to address them. When you see them and you develop that ability to see this stuff, don't be scared to point it out. That's one thing about it. When you see it and you understand it, it becomes easy to point out because you know it, and it gives you a sense of confidence and the ability to just say, you're full of shit and you're wrong and I don't like it. And you don't have to worry about those people interacting with you after that, because when you do, they realize that their jig is up and there's no more reason for them to continue. They'll avoid you. So that's the nice part, is you don't necessarily have to avoid them. They'll just avoid you. So that helps make life easier in the end anyhow. So, and the more people like that you have the ability to push out quickly, the others that are like that are going to see that, and they're just going to avoid you in the first place. And before long, you don't have to deal with very many of those people. And that just makes life a whole lot easier, a lot more fun. But that about wraps up my notes for tonight. I don't see haven't got anybody calling in tonight. So anyhow, yeah, that's fact. It takes a big man to accept correction when a friend points out his faults. It does. And it takes a big man to point them out to your friends as well and accept that they might not like it. It's a two-way street. But at the end of the day, it builds that bond and that brotherhood a lot stronger. When you know your friend has your back enough to the point that he's willing to piss you off and offend you, to tell you when you've made a mistake, you can count on him. So I'd rather have people like that. I'd rather have people who are willing to upset me from time to time, point out my mistakes, and make me be better than ones who are constantly going to agree with everything I say. So anyhow, that's what I've got for tonight. Do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe, which I'm sure most of you have. I don't exactly have a huge viewership. Do me a favor, share this with somebody. Hopefully if you know anybody that this is going to help, share it with them. Talk about it. Just chat it up. Trying to grow this thing. Trying to grow my community. So if you're not in, do me a favor. Get off your butt and come join. It's not expensive. My links in my bio, Patreon stuff coming around through here. We're going to go hang out on Zoom here afterwards and shoot the crap. Maybe expand a little bit more on the business stuff we were talking about on Sunday, because there were some neat ideas there, some development, some stuff coming up. We got some exciting things happening. You can find me on Facebook and on Instagram and all that crap and blah, blah, blah. That's pretty much about it. So anyhow, hope you have yourselves a great night. It's been Bentley James for the Hammercast. I'm going to have a good one. Talk to you later.